Hey guys, Huzzy here bringing you another video. So welcome back to another episode of League Discussion, and we're doing something slightly different, as you'll probably tell on the screen right now. We're including Twitch chat over there, because I think the bounce between Twitch chat could be relatively interesting. It adds a new angle to League discussions. So I will say this video is partnered and sponsored by QT, so there'll be a link in the description if you guys want to join in the conversation to this topic. I actually urge you guys to go over there instead of using the YouTube comments just for this video, because, you know, they're a sponsor of mine, we can collect the feedback, and with my League partner status, I actually can give all this data now directly to people at Riot, and they've already said, you know, if you collect interesting data that, you know, we could use and make the game better, we will definitely look at it. So your voices will be heard from more now than ever, because obviously now I have more of a direct access to Riot. And basically what QT does, they take your comments and data, you know, nothing personal, just the comments that you leave and the polls that you tick, it automatically puts that into a report that I can just give to Riot. So your voices will be heard more now than ever. So yeah, check that out down below. We're also going to be giving away, let's give away 2 sonar remotes. I've still got a bunch of them left. 2 sonar remotes to some good comments that are left on the QT. But also throw a like on the video, because that also does help out. Anyway, the topic of the video, I actually got quite excited for this. It was a suggestion by, I think, Goku in the chat. So basically the topic is, should there be moderators in the game of League of Legends? So should certain people in the community be given the status of moderator, and they have certain actions that they can do that a normal player can't? And the reason why I think this is a great topic is because there's more than 2 sides, but basically it opens up the discussion of, is it a good idea in general? Because there are games out there that have done this. From memory, RuneScape may have done it quite a few years ago, but there are definitely games that have done this. Who would you pick? How would you pick them? You know, would it be a paid position, or would it just be free and you're just a little bit higher status in the community? What is everything in it? And I think it's a great topic, because obviously the negative to it would be if you pick somebody wrong, they could abuse it relatively easily. You know, if they have the power to, like, put a temporary ban on somebody, like, okay, you're being really toxic, no league for an hour or something. If they had that power, that obviously could get abused, but would they abuse it? How many, like, you know, how many strenuous tasks, or like, you know, interviews and stuff would they have to go through? Just quickly, there we go. How many interviews would they have to go through to get the status and stuff like that? So let's get into it and go through topic at a time, so there's some structure to the argument. Also, I don't script any of these, but basically, do I think it's a good idea? Let's start with that, and Twitch chat, you can agree. And if you want to comment on the QT, I'd recommend to comment structure your comment in the way that I'm doing mine, so you can kind of go through one at a time. So, do I think it's a good idea? I think so. I've never thought of this before. This is why I'm quite excited to talk about it, because when someone mentioned it, I've never thought about it before, but it's a really interesting idea. Because the reason why I think it's an interesting idea, and good one, is because how big League of Legends is, it's too big to moderate. That's why it's very toxic. It's too big to moderate, and a lot of the time, computer moderation is not good enough. You know, it's not quick enough, it's not good enough, and when somebody is having, let's say, one of those troll days, and we've all had people that are going on them, you look at their match history, they've lost 7 or 8 games in a row, and they're just trolling. They're just having one of those games that they are just trolling. It's going to take a while for the system to pick that person up. But if one of those mods suddenly was playing with that person, then that moderator could instantly, if given the power, time that person out of playing the game, realizing that they should not be played anymore. Then it goes to, so that's my general. I think it's a good idea. But then there is, who would be moderator? So people are saying the partner program. I've seen the people saying that. If you're in the partner program, which obviously I am, maybe we should be given the moderator status. I do and I don't think so. The reason why I don't think so, kinda, is a lot of the people in the partner program aren't there because of their behavior. Like, the only anti-toxic thing you've got to be in the partner program is just simply be on a level 2, I think, and don't have any bans or reports. Like, it's simple. Like, you just can't be a toxic person in League, but that doesn't mean you know what you're doing when it comes to, say, justice in League. There's different mindsets of, like, who to ban, who not, and content creators will have very different ideas of that. So I don't think it's a blanket statement of, like, oh, if you're in the partner program, you should be given it. I don't think that's the right thing to do. because I think like even partners don't really know, and also the time aspect. If you're going to be putting a bit of time into moderating League, well, all these people that are in the League partner program generally are quite busy. You know, we're content creators, we're YouTubers, streamers, so putting something extra on our plate, I don't think that would be a great idea. So I actually personally wouldn't want the moderator status. I just wouldn't be able to cope, I don't think. So the people that I think could do well, obviously it would have to be minimum on a level 5. I know that doesn't mean very much, like you get on a level 5 simply by not typing in chat. But it would have to be just minimum on a level 5. And maybe, like, again, right, have the power to look how people are typing in game. And I'm sure if they know who are toxic, they'd also know who are positive. And it's basically just messaging the people that are just really positive out there who, like, never get reported, never get banned, and are just like a really good staple of the League of Legends community. Contact them, and then also having to have a face-to-face interview. And when Skype interview, they couldn't be, in my opinion, anonymous. I think you'd actually have to have something in the game of, like, they know who you are, maybe even, like, they know where you live, and it's kind of like a position at Riot, your official League moderator. To then, is it paid or not? Maybe. Like, it depends how much League need to get rid of toxicity. They've obviously got the money to do it. Whether they do it or not, I don't know. Like, Riot might see it as, we're not going to hire in-game people to moderate the games. We're just going to hire more people in the behavior department. That obviously could be something that counters it. And, people saying about the ratings, it would have to be people throughout the whole rating system. Again, the idea, and again, if I haven't made it clear, the moderator system would be people that are playing the game of League of Legends, but maybe have a little bit more of a status while they're in game. And if they're experiencing people that are toxic, they would have the power to kind of time those people out. So it's not someone just sitting at a desk spectating games in my mind. It's actually somebody who's just playing League, and they're just a moderator while they're playing those games. That's the idea that I have it. It's kind of like, again, RuneScape. From memory, again, I could be wrong because I haven't played RuneScape in a long time, but there were people that had moderator status, and they had like a silver crown or a gold crown next to their name. And basically, they were just like, you knew they were a moderator, and, you had to kind of behave good and not cheat and stuff around them. So I don't know. It's an interesting topic. And again, I'm very interested to see what people think about it, because the negative to it, as I mentioned, is it could get abused. But what could the abuse be? The abuse could be timing out people that don't deserve it. True. But I don't even know if that would happen. If you're only going for people that have a background of being really positive, really nice, they've never got reported, they're not breaking the rules at any point that when they play League, would those people, like, if you time out somebody who inted in a game, that person's obviously going to complain, but I don't think the rest of the community would. And this is what we're talking about here, is we're not helping toxic people by doing this, we're helping the rest of the community. And this does lead to the point that Fanta just left, is, what about the Tribunal? It's basically a more fancy version of the Tribunal when it's actually in-game rather than a system that you're just reading the chat. I think the Tribunal was good, and I'd love it back. I'd love to do a YouTube series of it. But I think it was rather, barbaric in the way that you didn't know exactly the context. You only had the chat. You couldn't see exactly what happened. You couldn't watch the replay back then and actually see if someone was just, like, running at people and inting. All you went off was the chat. So if someone said, why are you inting, and someone dies, well, then in our heads, like, oh, he must be inting, but he might not be. Like, it's very hard to decide that without seeing the game. So having only in-game moderators, I think, would be actually a lot more effective than the Tribunal system ever was. So yeah, it's a really interesting topic. So just to summarize, I think there is room for it. It would obviously have to be very much like, it would have to be very well done, because it could easily go bad. But considering, again, how big League is, I don't think it would ever make a big enough dent in negativity that it would make that much of a difference. Unless you're, like, moderating thousands of people, which I don't think they'd ever do. It's not going to beat toxicity. I think if it just lessens toxicity, and to me, the more important thing with the moderate system is that if it would just get rid of people and stop people playing that were in one of those troll moods that they're like, I'm just inting today for no reason, they're just inting. If it just stopped that, I think that's a big plus, because at the moment, the system that is currently in place that does bans and stuff is not good enough to deal with that system. It's too slow. you know, that person, by the time that the system picks them up that, oh, you've been inting all day, you've been toxic all day, they've already done the day of that. They've already lost, you know, 12 games of solo queue on purpose for all the people that are just actually playing the game. It's already happened. But if one of those 12 games, that person just randomly gets to a moderator, and the moderator looks at their history and looks how they're playing and they're inting, whatever, you're not playing ranked anymore today. It's a lot more quick. That's my thought process of what could be really good. Again, for the rest of stuff, just general toxicity, it would be effective, sure, but obviously not into a grand scale of things. So, yeah, and then obviously something you can get into if you wanted to in your QT comment is what powers do you think, if you do think it's a good idea, what powers do you think a moderator should have? It's like someone said they should only have chat restrictions. Well, that doesn't stop somebody having one of those int days, which I think would be the main thing that this would solve. Do you limit of, you know, just banning them for a day, like, you know, timing them out, as it were, for a day, and being like, you know, if a moderator times out, by the way, somebody, then in my opinion it should go to the top of the list for someone at Riot to look at. And then either Riot can confirm, okay, they were right in doing this, and that makes the moderator good, and they stay around. Oh no, that moderator got it completely wrong, we're removing them from the moderator plan. You know, the moderator system, or they're getting things wrong, they can't be a moderator anymore. And if the moderator does take action, it goes right to the top of the list for a Rioter that works at Riot. That's how it could work. So it's basically funneling the reports to Riot in a way that is a little bit more urgent, and I think that also could be quite good. So I personally don't see that many negatives to it, as long as Riot actually would take their time in, like, you know, hiring people. Again, I don't know if it would be a paid position, but hiring people, getting people on board, if they took time doing that and they didn't make the powers that they have overbearing, like literally just, you're not playing ranked anymore today. Like, don't stop them playing League. I'll go play normal games, but you're just trolling, you're inting, you're raging like crazy. No more ranked for you just for today. It gets reviewed. It only lasts one day. It gets reviewed by a Rioter in the next couple days. Boom. Like, to me, there's not really any harm done, especially if the people that are getting affected by it are being toxic, are inting. And then, again, the main argument that I see people kind of going against it, I go, what happens if a moderator takes action that is wrong? Obviously, that's not good, but that's where, if the reports make it so a Rioter will look at it the next day or two, well, then the moderator could get removed from the program pretty quick. But it's likely that the only people that would even get affected by this program do kind of deserve it in some way or another. So, to me, it'd be really interesting. And yeah, like, as I said, you couldn't have random people, like no-face people getting invited. They'd have to have an interview, like on Skype or something. They'd have to actually show themselves of, like, I exist as a person, I'm real. And, so, you know, they exist. It's not random. It's not, you know, it's not an anonymous person. Right, exactly know who that person is. Which obviously would deter some people from doing it. And I even know in the Clash system that you've got to link your mobile phone with your account in order to play Clash. I know that even that has, like, made some people not want to play Clash. Because there are some very, like, anonymous, like, I don't want, you know, the man to know who I am on the internet. Which obviously they wouldn't be a moderator in League. They can't even play Clash mode in League. So, yeah, to me, it's a really interesting topic. So I really hope people can get involved with this. And I will say someone there is actually using freedom of speech completely wrong. So if someone were to say, you know, freedom of speech, go on that angle, so many people misinterpret what freedom of speech is. Freedom of speech is not existent on a private platform, and League of Legends is in the eyes of that law, it's a private platform. So there is no world that freedom of speech actually exists in League of Legends. That's why you can get banned. That's why you can get timed out. Like, if freedom of speech truly was a thing, those things would not be allowed, but they are. The only place that freedom of speech is truly allowed is public forums. So if you go to your town hall, you can shout anything you want. That's freedom of speech, because it's a public domain. League of Legends, Twitter, Facebook is a private domain, so freedom of speech is non-existent. It doesn't work like that. It's recommended that, you know, you generally follow freedom of speech, but if things go against your company's terms of service, it doesn't exist. So that's why, like, you know, if you know people who have been banned from Twitter, you know, there was a guy, very, you know, high-profile guy that's been banned from Twitter, Facebook, PayPal, all that. He was, you know, breaking all of their terms of service. Freedom of speech doesn't help him in that regard. So, Yeah, and I will say, yeah, if you harass somebody, they recently changed laws. Online harassment is now punishable by crime as well. So there have been people that have gone to jail for harassing people online. So, yeah. Anyway, that's going to be it. I think it's a fantastic topic, so feel free to get involved with the QT. Again, giving 2 Sona remotes away, and if you are from a different server and I can't get them to you, then I'll throw some riot points at you instead. So anyway, that's going to be it. Like it, subscribe. Thank you very much for watching. Please comment down below, and I'll see you guys next time.